Hello, hello. So it seems we are live already. So hello everyone and welcome to today's live session. I feel free to drop a line in the comments. Where are you connecting from? I'm myself connecting today from Morocco, and my name is Daria. I'm leading the Sustainable Development Goals Challenge that we as Seedstars organized this year together with Financial Times. Today, I'm happy to be a moderator of this session and have as a speaker co-CEO of Seedstars, Alisee de Tannac. Today, we will share with you more insights about the new format of our Seedstars Global Competition, criteria to apply for 6 SDGs thematics, and benefits of joining the challenge. We will start shortly with the most frequently asked questions and then move to Q&A session. But feel free to drop your questions in the comments even now so that we can address them later. So hi Alisee, how are you?
Hi Daria, I'm doing great, thanks.
Great. So let's start with the questions that were most popular in the last few days. And the one that we are getting really often is about the new format. So Seedstars World was a successful project that Seedstars was running for 8 years in a row. Why change now?
Yeah, so I think, as all of you know, the pandemic made a real shift on how we were operating through our events. And before we were doing over 200 events on the ground around the world. It's been 2 editions now that we've been going virtual. And I think for this edition, where it's still very much uncertain in many geographies if we could come back physically, we really wanted to make sure to continue and be as inclusive as possible. And digital, going virtual was still the best option for our community and to represent the entrepreneurs around the world. And that's why it was so important for us to find the right partner to help us not only continue and build this community of entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs in the impact space around the world, but also help us spread the word throughout all the different communities of maybe investors, potential talents, and other stakeholders that build these ecosystems. And the Financial Times was really for us one of the strong media brands, but also a really strong team that we got along really well with, and we aligned with with many values, and so yeah, it made sense for us to partner with the Financial Times to continue and build a challenge to support, identify, and render visible these entrepreneurs and their ideas around the world.
Yeah, thanks, Alisee. Makes a lot of sense. And accept the new thing about having a really strong media partner on board, that is Financial Times. Another new big thing is focus on SDGs, right? So I wanted to ask you here, how did this idea come up? And why do you think that it's important for tech startups to tackle those issues?
Sure. So I think for us, it was quite obvious in the sense that by default, our community was very much impact driven. And over the years, the SDGs were becoming really a way to standardize kind of the different efforts that the industries were putting together to solve some of the biggest challenges. So we really wanted to use the UN Sustainable Development Goals, because so many people can now identify and understand what it means. So I really think it was for us to continue and being mainstream and inclusive. And it's something that speaks now in every community, which might not have been the case a couple of years back. But also what we realized is rather than presenting our community by geography, where we really were doing our regional summits across the different continents and then heading to the global summit, we thought it might be more valuable in always with this reflection of inclusivity and trying to maximize the impact and the storytelling across the board, to go by thematics, and hence trying to bring down the competition and the talent pools and the solutions through the different SDGs, from maybe gender equity to providing better education around the world.
Yeah, can totally relate. And maybe one more question before we move to the next part. And I really want to ask you this one. I know that you started the global competition a few years ago, traveling yourself around emerging markets with a backpack, looking for entrepreneurs to invest in. And I'm sure it was really exciting journey. So now the new format, FTxSDG Challenge. What excites you the most about it?
Yeah, so it's very different, and I think you'll never be able to replace face-to-face, and I think it's why it's been such of the most powerful memories for me, but for any Seedstars member, to be honest. So I would love to go back physically to all these ecosystems and meet all these entrepreneurs. But I think what's really powerful is, one, to have a partner like the Financial Times that's really going to be a strong voice for these entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs, because now the competition is open also to participants that want to get started in a specific industry. But also really, yeah, going back to that word, which I think is the power of digitalization, is this inclusivity. I'm very proud to also be representing now a new version of what was Seedstars World competition into a challenge that really continues to be as inclusive as possible in representing the most diverse community from around the world, tackling some of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing this. It was really nice to hear, and yes, myself also happy about the fact that we are able to be more inclusive with this new online reality. But yes, of course, hope that at some point we will at least partly go back to offline. And before we move on to the next part of the Q&As, by the way, for everyone connected, feel free to drop your questions even now. We will address them in a bit. And before we move on to that, I would like to quickly cover one more really frequent question that we get now, the criteria per each theme. So I will go through each criteria one by one, and if you have like more specific questions regarding that, feel free again to drop them in the chat. So first SDG that we are covering is gender equality. And here, what we are looking for are women-led startups that at least have one female founder, or ventures that focus on supporting gender equality and women empowerment. For climate action, we are looking for startups that are focused on agriculture, environment, waste management, energy, infrastructure, or any other industry that solves climate challenge problems. For quality education, obviously, we are looking for edtech startups and startups that facilitate children's development and allow the digitalization of educative process. Good health and well-being. So here, what we are looking for, obviously, health tech, and the startups that bring innovative solutions to promote well-being, mental health, or to prevent health issues from evolving. Another thematic is good jobs and economic growth. And here we are looking for startups innovating in the logistics, e-commerce, HR tech, fintech, or any other startups with sustainable jobs opportunities. And last but not least, reduced inequalities. Here we are looking for startups working on challenges related to migrants, vulnerable communities, or innovations that help solve justice or gender-based inequalities. So again, if you have any doubts, if your startup feed any of these things, feel free to ask in the comments now or send us an email. Always happy to answer. And now let's move to the Q&A part. So let me check the chat and what questions do we have here. So one of the questions that I see, can we participate tackling multiple SDGs? I can take this one. Yes, sure. You can apply for several SDGs thematics. For example, if you're a tech startup led by female founder, you can apply to both thematics, gender equality and quality education, and you can compete in both challenges separately. Here's one more question, and Alisee, I would like you to answer this one. So it's a bit broad. The question is what we can expect from Seedstars. Maybe narrowing it a little bit down to this concrete project that we are talking about of FTxSDG Challenge.
Yeah, I think it's you can really expect, for those that have participated in the past in the competition, you can really expect the same support, which is that our objective is to help the founders scale their business so that they can achieve sustainability. And so with the process, if you're selected, then there's a whole academy program where we give you access not only to what we use to train the businesses we invest in or we support or that we incubate ourselves, but also access to our mentorship platform where we have experts from around the world. And then, of course, when we arrive at kind of the award ceremony here, we're also going to be, of course, reuniting the community of investors and investors, I think, in the spectrum of impact investing, from grants to debt to equity, that hopefully can be part of your journey too. So I think always kind of where we felt we needed to bring support, it's this pillar of building visibility for you and your brand, providing training and support so that you can lead the company and the business you are trying to build, and of course fundraising to get to the next level.
Yeah, thanks, Alisee, for covering that one. Another question that I see in the chat is, what is the deadline for the application? And the deadline is 1st of November for both startups and individuals. So you have a little bit more than a month to apply. One more question that I'd like to address, again, back to you, Alisee, is this one from Khalid about the private sector and SDGs project. So the question is this. Do you think that private sectors is doing their part in building SDGs sustainable projects? Yeah, basically the point of Khalid is that he thinks that there's not enough awareness about their commitments in this part, specifically in Middle East, and this is one of the regions where we are working a lot. So yeah, he's curious about your opinion about that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's so much to be done, and it's figuring out what is the right kind of regulation. And it's because if we wanted to scale at the whole private sector to have some level of accountability on different targets that we are trying to achieve through the SDGs, then for sure there needs to be also support from the public institutions, but private sector definitely can also take the lead by example. There are different international organizations that I think are starting to be very strong, especially on the ESG side, and even at the level of how to maintain an impactful and sustainable workforce, such as the B Corp certification and others. We haven't seen it yet completely have a strong voice within the more frontier markets, but we're seeing some progress, definitely not at the speed that we would like. But I do think this is why it's important to have such a challenge, because we need to continue and promote the younger generation of enterprises that need full support and have already integrated this accountability on different SDGs. I'm more and more surprised and impressed to see that a lot of young enterprises and young leaders and entrepreneurs are putting in place impact frameworks and are trying to figure out kind of what is that theory of change that they want to integrate in their day-to-day operations, so that they can start seeing if there is causality with the efforts that they're trying to put forward and in solving some of these challenges. So it's quite positive and reassuring to see this. Now we need to see how we can get more mass adoption of some standard rules across different SDGs, so we can see a more sustainable future.
Yeah, thanks, Alisee, for your reply.
But big topic, and one that will definitely be kind of highlighting and debating all through the challenge.
Yeah. So Khalid, if you're still with us, feel free to let us know in the comments if this is like something that you were looking for, or you have more questions. We can keep this discussion going offline. Meanwhile, going through the rest of the questions, I've noticed a few asking about like geography aspect from where you can apply. And here we have like two different paths, let's say. So for startups, for working businesses that are applying for startup track of the competition, we are looking for entrepreneurs that are based in emerging markets or that are building products to support economies in emerging markets. And for individual track, because this year we first time tried to, we are bringing on board also individuals to apply in kind of hackathon format to build up teams and to solve SDGs challenges. For them, the country focus is worldwide. So from any place in the world, you can apply and you can have a chance to join the challenge. So quickly following up with the last question that I see in the comment that is also connected, is a startup as an idea stage eligible? So if you don't have a working MVP yet, if you don't have any traction, then I suggest that you apply for the individual track if you want to work on the solutions to solve the SDGs. Looking for other questions that we've been still missing in the chat. And I will address this one again to you, Alisee. How much traction do we need to be eligible?
I mean, we always in the effort of being as inclusive as possible, and because this time we are going by thematic and non-maturity of ecosystem, we don't have a number, so it's not like we're looking at a threshold of we would need businesses that generate X in revenue per month. I think you have to keep in mind what Daria said is we're not going to go for a PowerPoint type business. Okay, so it needs to have some level of MVP and some confrontation with the market. In the previous years, on average, startups that participated in our program were 1.5 years old, had some recurring monthly revenue, had some pre-seed or seed funding already. But again, that doesn't mean that was kind of the average. It doesn't mean it's there's no exception to that. But yeah, if you find yourself still very much in idea stage and figuring out your now maybe not even product, but yeah, if you're really at the idea stage, it's best to go into the individual tracks where you could potentially also find team members to help you follow through with your project.
Yes, thanks, Alisee. The questions are coming and coming. So I noticed a few regarding the stage of funding and previous funding, and being eligible for the challenge to apply. So yes, thanks, Susan, for correcting the answer. You don't need to raise 1 million to apply. The criteria is that you have to raise less than 1 million in order to be eligible to apply. And yes, regarding the traction, I think Alisee just covered it pretty well. So looking for other questions, this one, Alisee, maybe we can cover together, because I'm sure you have a bit more insights on this one, regarding the support of different organizations with us doing this challenge focused on SDGs. So the question from Shiv is, have any of the UN agencies offered support, official or unofficial? So what I know is that we are in conversation and with UNTP regarding that. We have access to a few experts from UN agencies who would join us as either speakers or jury members. I don't know, Alisee, if you want to add something else on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, the list of partners is long. I think we really represent a very large community of stakeholders that want to see this challenge happening, simply because it's in their mission and objectives to support entrepreneurs, maybe as an investor, as an agency, as a government innovation agency, or the different stakeholders such as the accelerator programs and mentors and business angels. So there are a lot of partners. Again, remind yourself that Seedstars, we're really in over 100 countries physically, all around the world. And so all these communities will be participating.
Yeah. Thanks, Alisee. I see a few really detailed questions, so I will quickly go through them and answer to you. So one from Lungelo is, what is the ideal outcome for startups that are part of the program? The ideal outcome, or I guess the price, is the access to the short track to Seedstars Investor Fund, and a chance to get $500,000 invested in your business. So that's the first ideal case, the first part of the price. Another thing is free participation in the growth program, that actually also involves some investments. And again, last but not least, the visibility package from FT that will bring to your startup a worldwide fame and give you a chance to shine. Another question is about individual application from Marvin. So the question is, could you give an estimation of the effort needed for the initial application? I'm not exactly sure, Marvin, what do you mean here? Maybe you can specify in the comments, or you can just go to the website and check. You have the link in the comments as well. So to apply, you need to share some data regarding your business, because this is what we are going to use in order to make a decision if you are accepted to the next stage of the competition or not. So looking for the other questions, is English proficiency a must to participate? Alisee, I see you're smiling. I guess you've heard this question many times regarding the language. Do you want to cover this one?
Yeah, look, this is where I'm still not very proud of because there can be more done, but it's not easy. It's not easy to represent this many countries and have all the customization to every language. We try to a certain extent, but we're really not there yet. So unfortunately, yes, it does help because the whole challenge is in English. Your application process will be in English. The pitching sessions, the what we can provide, so the content, the network also, where we try to do a better effort is in customizing the mentor and the expert network, because they come from all these regions, and so suddenly we are much more representative. But unfortunately for this year, we're still primarily in English.
Yeah, that's been really coming up question always when traveling around the globe. But yes, I guess the point of scaling, the point of building some disruptive business is to scale. And if you want to do it, unfortunately, I guess in this reality, English is a must. So checking other questions from Dosan. Is it possible for an organization without MVP to access the fund? So for this exact project that we are talking about now, if Financial Times Challenge about sustainable development goals, we are looking for startups who already have MVP and initial traction. Again, if you are willing to try, you can join as an individual participant. And as Alisee was mentioning, maybe even finding co-founders or team members to work on your idea later. But at Seedstars, we have other programs that may be relevant for idea stage startups. So feel free to just check seedstars.com and look for programs that may be relevant and suitable for you now. Thanks a lot, everyone. I just wanted to say for being so active and involved, and I will read a few more questions and we will answer those with Alisee. But no worries if we are missing a few, we will for sure get back to the comments after the webinar is over and answer those. Also always available on all the social media and emails. So here's one question from Susan. What is the timeline? I only know of application deadline. That's actually a good question. Thanks a lot for that. And let me quickly cover that. So as you know, we opened the applications on the 1st of September, and call for application lasts for 2 months, September, October. On 1st of November, we will announce semi-finalists. So participants who are accepted to the next stage. The next stage for startups track is access to investment readiness sessions. It's a digital platform by Seedstars that can basically help your business get more investment ready. So this is what all the semi-finalists will get in November. And then in December, we are having the finals. This is 1 week event that we are doing together with Financial Times, having both private and public parts, where we are going to connect to all the finalists, both startups and individuals, join together some panel discussions with experts on different sustainable development goals, work on the businesses models, work on the pitches, work with mentors, provide access to investors, and all those useful things for entrepreneurs. And then, of course, we are at the end of that. In December, we are going to announce the winners at our global event that is going to be FTxSDG final event. So I hope I covered the timeline question, but if you have more, feel free to drop. Maybe 1 or 2 more questions that we still can cover. So the question from Habiba, is it possible to apply as a startup as well as an individual? Yes, sure. You can participate in 2 different tracks if you'd like to. That's completely possible. Checking the questions. So one from Ahmed, when can we start applying and how? So you can already start, you can already apply now, as you can see in the banner. We've opened the applications on September the 1st. And until 1st of November, you can apply for the challenge as both startup or individual. You can see the link here below our pictures, and it's also in the comments. So feel free to log in now and leave your application. So I'm seeing that there are still a few questions. I think we can cover them. Later on. But before we say goodbye, I just wanted Alisee to ask you for your one more comment, maybe like your statement, your wish to all the participants of this year who are willing to join the challenge and who are willing to tackle the sustainable development goals.
Yeah, I think someone earlier asked the question, what would be kind of the ideal output of this challenge? And as much as we're trying to put in place everything and providing the right visibility, support in terms of training and access to the right experts, but also investment opportunities, I think the best outcome can be what you make of it. And it really holds true with the community that you can build. It's not the same thing, again, as putting you all in the same room and having to face one another for a couple of hours and getting all that kind of all these good vibes and energy and exchanges, but it's possible. The team here has done an unbelievable job in trying to recreate these moments online, and there are some good solutions that are out there, and we'll try to integrate that as much as possible, because what stays true still today to the alumni we meet again that were part of the 2013-14 edition is really that community of founders, of mentors with founders that has really made the difference, because it is a long marathon. It can get lonely. And we have enormous respect for the investment and energy you're putting in these solutions or wanting to put in future solutions. And so we really hope you can get some of that energy and have some great relationships and experiences through the FTxSDG challenge.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Alisee, for this. Thanks for joining the session. And many thanks for all of you for joining the webinar. I did not read all the questions. I've seen just a few really nice messages. Sending you as well much love from Seedstars, and hope to receive all of your applications soon. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us via email or social media. Always happy to get in touch and answer your questions. So thank you very much. Thank you, Alisee. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.